Ah, man. I wish there was like a place around here that we can go shoot crossbows. Well, there is. Oh, well, actually,
The desert.
The desert, yeah. Too bad the PV shooting range. There's a PV archery range.
Yeah, we've looked at that one.
Well, in any case, I think we do need to get a crossbow soon.
Which is why we're going to SHOT Show. That and other reasons being that we're Hi-Lux Optics. My name is Scott.
And my name is Chris. Welcome back to edition 3 of our SHOT Show live pre-show. So, this is our art crossbow scope. This is the second generation. The first generation is right here. So, what are the big differences? Why do you want to use an art scope on your crossbow? For one, the crossbow scopes right now in the industry, I'm not going to drop any names, but they're all pretty rudimentary. They're all using a second focal plane optical system, and it uses the magnification to compensate for the difference in speed. While this is it works, but it's not going to get you that pinpoint precision.
Let's not forget that many of those scopes, in order to make your adjustments, you're required to set it at a particular focal length, and you can't zoom after that. Anytime you zoom, you're going to change your shot.
Exactly. And those kinds of scopes typically come with like a very complicated looking reticle. There's probably a BDC marker for everything from 10 yards out to 100. So when you're in the heat of the moment, how do you know that you'll use the right holdover? Well, we've kind of taken these points into account when we developed our art crossbow scope. So the benefit of this, if you notice on the range ring, you'll have all your distances. So this scope actually does your bolt trajectory compensation for you. If you notice, by turning the cam, the base actually lifts and externally compensates for your bullet drop.
Oh, bolt drop.
Bolt drop. Cut. Good catch, good catch.
Their words are so close, it's ridiculous. So we're talking about bolts. What size of bolts, what speed of bows is rated for?
Or if you look at the manual on pages 21 and 22, there's a cam setting chart with the speeds. Most crossbows, they come with a rated speed. From the manufacturer, they sometimes have a test. Let's say if a X crossbow has 400 speed with 300 grain bolt, you'll know that crossbow probably shoots around 400 feet per second with a 300 grain bolt. But if you change the weight of your bolt, let's say if you change the broadheads or use a different shaft, the weight of the bolt's going to be different. And in our cam setting chart, we have the suggested cam settings all the way from 310 feet per second up to 450 feet per second in a variety of bolt weights from 350 grains all the way up to 500 grains. No matter what combination of bolts and a crossbow you have, you can definitely find a cam setting that'll work for you.
And even if you don't know precisely your bolt weight, even if you don't have a chronograph in order to measure speed, you can just take a practice shot at a known distance, and if it's a little low, adjust lower. If it's a little high, adjust higher. Dial it in that way.
The beauty of using the art scope on a crossbow, for one, let's say if you're shooting known distances, you can simply dial the cam directly to the distance. If you're shooting 50 yards, turn the cam to 50 and you should be dead on for 50 yards. One of the advantages of the art scope really shine when you're shooting known size targets at unknown distances. Let's say you're hunting a buck and you know that this buck that you've been tracking, the height from his chest to the top of his head is 18 inches. Well, you can use the reticle, one of the brackets in the reticle, to frame that 18-inch target. Simply use the center of the reticle to that first tick mark if you're framing a vertical target, or the first tick mark on the horizontal scale if you're framing a horizontal target. And adjust the magnification until that target perfectly fits between those two marks. Once you have adjusted the magnification to where the target fits, you should be dead on. The cam has already been compensating for your bolt. Got it right this time. That's one of the advantages of the art scope. So if you're shooting known distance, or if you're shooting a known size target at unknown distance, this could potentially be faster. So you don't have to take your eyes off the target. You don't have to pick up your rangefinder and all that.
Alternatively, if you don't want to deal with the cam system, or you're just using a one-off and you don't want to change your cam setup for your usual bolts and crossbow, you can disengage the zoom ring and just go ahead and use the click adjustments like you would on a regular scope. So if you're more comfortable turning the dial, that option's available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, illuminated reticle, pretty handy when you're going through those bushes or you're going through any of the darker zones.
Darker zone, yeah, low light conditions, though. This reticle has a illuminated center dot. Once you turn on the illumination, it helps draw your eyes to the center of the scope or the center of the reticle and helps you acquire targets faster. The Gen 1 crossbow scope could require to be zeroed at 15 yards, and it could range all the way out to 45 yards and do your compensation for you. Well, in our second edition, second gen art scope, we actually increased the range from 20 yards to 80 yards. So 20 yards should be you should be able to find some space to get that zeroed in and dialed in. Once you get your zero perfectly dialed in at 20 yards, you should be within center of mass all the way out to 80 yards using the cam.
That should keep pretty much all of the combinations we have within an ethical kill shot range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could go out farther if you wanted to, but you're going to have to know your crossbow better than us.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have to figure out the holds, or you're going to have to know exactly how much to dial. Fortunately, though, this scope has about 200 MOA of elevation and windage travel, so that's plenty in case you wanted to go that route.
Even once we got into the Gen 2 phase of building this new scope, we realized that crossbows and guns do not quite load in exactly the same way. So, we know some of you use a
cocking device.
And when you pull those cables up, there's a chance that they can run up the side of where this mounts. Originally, the thumb nut stuck out a little far and provided a pretty nice channel for that string to pocket into. And you know what? It's the little things, but ever since they fixed that, it's never caught for me.
Cool. Hey, if you're in the SoCal area and you have a crossbow, we'd love to meet up. We go to Angeli's every week, and if you'd like to try this out, we can help you mount it on and just do some testing.
If you guys know of an archery range in the area that isn't limited just to bows that we could use crossbows at, send us a holler.
And make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe so you stay in the loop. And for those of you who are going to be at SHOT Show, our booth numbers are 15441
and 15444.
See you guys later.